What's up? What's up? What is up? It's another Friday, another opportunity to get together and record the Ball Hog Sports Talk. It is the crew in the building, and there's only two of us because our man ETP has decided to travel across the world. So he has a PTO day today, but the rest of the crew is in the building. And today's episode is entitled Effed Around and Found Out. When I was deciding to pursue different academic endeavors, I learned how to read charts, read graphs, read coordinates, and I learned about this x-axis and this y-axis. And today we're going to go into some of the sports, business, and entertainment stories that showed us when people effed around and found out. It's going to be a good show. Every single week, we all have our own experiences in sports, business, entertainment. We bring them to the show. We do it one way and one way only, rough, rugged, and raw. So if you have never been a part of the experience that is known as, internationally known as the Ball Hog Sports Talk, welcome to the Ball Hog Sports Talk. And with that, fasten up your seatbelt. Do whatever you need to do. Get you some coffee. Throw some extra sauce in your coffee, because the Ball Hog Sports Talk is coming to you. So let's go. Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke, because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go. You know what it is. It's the Ball Hog Sports Talk in the building. We got from the Central Time Zone, the man, the myth, the legend. He shall be known as and recognized as not just a person, but an entire endeavor. Thou who shall be known as the Big Flow Show. What up, my brother?
What's good, America? What's good, man? I got to tell y'all something. Full disclosure, man. This could quite possibly be my last show.
Uh-oh. What'd you do?
Because I'm gonna win that 1.5 billion, baby. I got feel good, man. I got these tickets last night. I picked a couple of them specific. That 1.5 billion is pretty much
yours.
Mine.
That's yours to lose.
That's pretty much mine, man. I still mess with y'all though occasionally. I fly in here and there. We be, they used to do Where in the World is Matt Lauer? They gonna say, where the hell is Big Flow?
Where is the Big Flow show this time?
I am gonna be out. But you know what, man? I miss y'all. I'm gonna miss y'all, but I'm gonna hit.
You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Saturday night, I think I'm gonna hit. I'm gonna hit this 1 point. Every year when that, it's so funny. You get the numbers, you get all excited, you start putting more money into it. It's a sickness. You throw more and more in it. And the funnest part is thinking about and arguing with people about what you would do if you got your loot. Like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put some money in a bag and I'm gonna put a treasure map. I'm gonna send it to all my people and say, y'all go find this and go get the money. And then when you get the money, it's up to you whether or not you want to share it with everybody else. And I'm out of it.
I'll say this, man, because you learn a lot about somebody when they really got that kind of money. And today's episode, effed around and found out, that's the best way to find out that we wasn't really that cool. Because if you change your number on me, Big Flow Show, I'm going to talk bad about you. But then at that point, I didn't effed around.
You probably would get the new number. You probably.
I have at least one new phone.
I probably get the new number. Phone off. This number will change. That 593 number. It don't hit like it used to.
Look, man, because we are in this new space where it seems as though in sports, business, and entertainment, people just keep on pushing the envelope. There's another week of controversy, another week of people saying things that they probably shouldn't have said, or in this case, sharing something they probably should not have shared that resulted in an immediate and a very aggressive response. It is resulted in yet more consequences, as we discussed last week. Last week's episode was about consequences. We talked about Kanye and his consequences. And I don't even know what was the name of the show last week. I don't know. What was it? I don't know. Help me out.
Man, that was a long time ago.
Fall something. I don't
I
remember.
played at least 3 bills since then.
But in last week's episode, we talked about consequences. We're going to talk about it again today. But it looks to me as though all of us need to take a pause. All of us need to take a step back. All of us need to remember some of the basics when it came to higher education. Some of the basics that we learned. Some of those finance courses. Some of those behavioral finance courses. Some of the basic math courses that we took when we saw these charts and we saw these graphs and we started to understand it in a basic framework before we could get more advanced. And so I wanted to start this episode. Effed around and found out. I needed to start this episode by breaking down just the basics. So bear with me here, because at times when we come up with these titles, they're hard to understand, but I don't know if anyone has made it as plain and vanilla and basic as this on this episode of Effed Around.
We're sports guys. Nothing like a whiteboard session. Sometimes you got to go to the grease board.
Gotta go. You gotta go. And so let's start with, let's call him Coach Professor FF. And he's going to give us the groundwork, the foundation of today's episode, which is entitled Effed Around and Found Out. Shall we?
I think we should. I think we should have a tutorial.
Let's do it.
All right, today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide, how much do we want to find out? So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. Now there's going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.
The simplicity,
was clear cut. To the point. It's to the point. And I think it needed to be put down visually for some people, because sometimes it seems obvious, but when you write it down, it's like, man, you know what? That person really fucked around and found out, huh?
They fucked around and found out.
Found out.
Kanye last week, we talked about some of the things that he did, right? Because money being, from a bank's perspective, money being told, get that out my bank, you done effed around and found out. You done messed up. And he continues to F around and find out. But now we got Kyrie. If those of you who tend to stand or sit or lay or do whatever under a rock and don't know the news, Kanye was last week. Kyrie is this week. I'm going to try to keep them separate, because Kyrie has gone on and tried to make amends. He donated $500,000. He tried to. He's made a public apology. But since then, it has been disclosed that he has a minimum of a 5-game suspension. But from a background standpoint, Kyrie shared a link to a documentary that had some material in it that was construed as being anti-Semitic. Initially, when asked about why he shared the material, the direct question to that material was met with a response of, do you remember the exact words, or give me a paraphrase?
They asked him if he was anti-Semitic. And he said something to the regards of, like, I love all people. I do it wasn't a direct.
I speak out against hate of all people, or something like that.
Yeah, he didn't say the words that they were looking for, which is, no, I'm not anti-Semitic. I think Kyrie's, again, he fucked around and found out. He's being Kyrie, which is trying to be Mr. Deep Thinker, always have something more to say. I don't believe I don't know Kyrie, but I don't believe he thought that he was being anti-Semitic by sharing that. I believe that he just wanted to be difficult Kyrie, which is what he is, and not answer the question directly. Although, in my opinion, we have the whole when someone say Black Lives Matter, people say all lives matter. Obviously that's kind of like a slap in the face of that. In this situation, I feel like if someone's saying, do you hate a certain group? I say, I love everybody. You kind of answered the question. You're just trying to be a little bit more difficult in your answer. But
Right.
then he came back and said, if you knew my background, you knew that it would be impossible for me to be anti-Semitic. Again, answering in riddles, continuing to fuck around. And then he ended up finding out. And I would say that in this case, when you look at Kyrie, how strong he is. I don't like using the word militant. I feel like that's
strong. Let's say strong-willed. He's been very
strong-willed about his
man. Wouldn't
conviction.
take the vaccine. He
he's strong-willed.
He went and saw his sister's birthday party. He believes in.
He got suspended late yesterday, and as you and I are prepping for this call early this morning, you said he hasn't apologized. I said, "Oh, you haven't read the paper yet, my buddy." Full apology. Full. I'm sorry. I hurt people. Sorry. This not the roundabout. If this offended people, then I'm sorry. Nope. I'm sorry. I said this. Da da da. He found out. Somebody told him, "Hey, look here, man. This ain't gonna go away. You're not playing. You're suspended, and you're not playing again until you fix it. You might be retired from the NBA if you try to get too tough." He got paid when he wouldn't take the vaccine and couldn't go out there and hoop, and he was healthy. He found out. So for him to take a figurative knee on this one and say, okay, my bad. I'm gonna get up out of here. First, he went into his pocketbook. I'm gonna give you this bread. Don't mess around. I mean, the Adam Silver is Jewish. He wasn't playing no games. But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna give the NBA its due. Out of all the major sports, they've been the biggest supporters from at least symbolism standpoint of the Black Lives Matter movement, all the different things. They got people wearing T-shirts. I can't breathe. Everything. They've been as supportive as any professional team has been. So I can't be mad at them.
Proactively. Not like the NFL that's been reactively.
And people have been mad. Other people have been mad. There's a lot of people I know who can't stand a lot of those different groups. They try to go too far into them and try to think and try to find some hidden meanings and all that stuff to find a way to hate the groups. But NBA didn't give a damn. They put all that stuff out there to do whatever. So they're not going to stand for him to come out here and do it. Now, the negative part about this, the negative is now I want to watch. I got to see the movie now, see what it's all about. I never saw it, never heard of it, never saw his post. But now I want to see what's to it. You know what I mean?
Why the controversy?
So unintentionally, they've promoted the movie.
Hey, well, from a director standpoint or financier in the movie, any press is good press. So you're absolutely right. They're going to be the unintended beneficiary of this drama. But the Kanye drama now to the Kyrie drama, the thing that links both of them is anti-Semitism. And you referred to Adam Silver. Adam Silver being a Jewish man who I think I would absolutely agree with you has been on the right side of these discussions when it comes to social activism. He has been proactive in supporting his players. But Adam Silver is also the man that is going to meet with Kyrie next week and to try to get more direction on what the next step is. And so those 5 games suspended without pay, very important, without pay, put us in a position where it does seem as though Kyrie is yet the latest figure from sports business and entertainment that effed around and found out. Now, the thing that was odd to me is that when I initially heard it, I thought that Kyrie is a lot more involved and active in saying something that was anti-Semitic. It turned out that he shared a link to a movie that he didn't make, he didn't finance, he didn't direct, he didn't have any real involvement in other than the connection to the movie itself. I'm just amazed at that act because you see so many people linking to different things and people, if he was smart, he could have went with the whole someone hacked my account. That's normally the response. Someone hacked my account. But it seems as though he was a little more removed from the comic, a little more removed from the concept, a little more removed from the controversy in advocating a particular belief. But yet suspended for 5 games.
Let's be fair.
Without pay.
He posted it and did not get suspended for posting it. He's posted it, and they came to him and said, "Are you anti-Semitic?" Or something in the refiner. Is this post mean that you're anti-Semitic, whatever?
No, so they asked him about it. Got it.
He had an opportunity at that point. He had an opportunity to distance himself and say, "Listen, although he can say whatever he wants to say. He could have said, although there are some things in there anti-Semitic, there's some interesting points. I wanted to share it from an educational piece. I think people should hear it, but I do not, support anti-Semitism. Blah 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 blah." He'd have been fine. They gave him a chance, but he fucked around. He found out. He tried to be too cute. He tried to be too Kyrie Irving. He tried to be a little bit too much. And I'm gonna say, look, people can say what you want. You cannot mess with the Jewish community. The Holocaust. I'm not a historian, but I believe the Holocaust started with negative propaganda to get the buy-in, and people started saying whatever.
Absolutely.
It wasn't like Hitler just woke up one day and just grabbed the Jews and did whatever and got all these people.
There was a psychological programming that went on for those beliefs to make you do that to
make it easier for people to do it, which goes on in every war. When I'm not going to use derogatory terms, but when we fought in Vietnam, there's a word that I heard someone repeat to me the other day. Because it became socially acceptable. That's how we get into Vietnam. So propaganda when it comes to war is there. The Jewish community is not going to ever let a groundswell of any sort of propaganda start. I mean, they kill it from the root. As soon as you say anything that can come around as a common theme that's going to be thrown around, they'll attack you because they're not going to allow themselves to ever be in a situation where it gets the Holocaustic.
Fair. And to your point, a very good friend of mine, Jewish friend of mine, at the risk of sounding like, I got one Jewish friend, I got several Jewish friends, but a Jewish friend of mine and I had a very spirited conversation about the Kanye initial statement. Now, Kanye is since decided
he's tripled down. If you had any question, he's tripled down.
He's tripled down. And so maybe my friend was right and I was wrong in the sense that the initial comment, while I thought was just more of a statement about the power that Jewish professionals hold in sports and entertainment, I didn't see that. And then the subsequent statement that I wish Black people would have the same camaraderie and the same type of commitment, right, to positivity when it comes to the Black community. I said, well, we're having a good conversation, and it's a friend of mine. So I won't go into the details because we're talking to each other in a spirited way, such because we are friends. But I was like, well, that the initial thing sort of could be construed as a compliment. And because of propaganda, because of what could be, at least coined as a compliment, that could lead to people being upset, being antagonized by that perception of power. It could lead to, like you said, propaganda, and I totally got it from that standpoint.
Jewish people that they're not for play. If you're gonna make a statement about Jewish people publicly, they're gonna come at you with the full extent of it. And I think, and again, I'm a little speculation here, so if I'm off, we have many Jewish brethren that watch the show that
absolutely
they could chime in. Please put your comments. I think the goal for that is they're never going to let a groundswell start. They're going to put out all the brush fires before they become a forest fire and get themselves into a fight. So I grew up in Evanston, which is right by Skokie.
I didn't know Jewish mistake. My bad. Sorry.
Man, Evanston's fantastic. But I didn't know that Jewish people were a minority because there's so many Jewish people when I went to high school. I wouldn't have said it was 50-50, but I would have thought it was like, and this is doing a disservice to all the religions, but as a young person growing up, I thought most of the people were Christian or Jewish. It wasn't until I got to college that I realized that there's only a small percentage of Jewish people because there's so many in Skokie and Evanston. So we all grew up around each other. We knew, their traditions. They knew ours. We all kind of, it's almost, people think it's La La Land in Evanston when I grew up. I mean, everybody got along. It was super mixed up, whatever. So I didn't even realize all the ramifications of a lot of the hate that goes out for a lot of different groups, because we all grew up together. It was a great place to grow up, but in some ways it doesn't prepare you for what the real world has to see it. But they don't mess around with that type of stuff. And I can't be mad at anybody who's not for play. Like, women, if you want to hold a standard for yourself where you don't take nothing, no misogyny, you can't say this, I'm going to snap. I cannot be mad for people that stand up for themselves at all costs, no matter what. And they never back down from a fight. Can you be mad at that?
I can't be mad at it, but I can't be scared of it.
I'm terrified.
As my man Glass Bart says, he's not going to share the link to the movie. And the movie, as he said to us in the comments, and please like, comment, share. We love when our live audience members help us out with answering questions. But he did say the name of the movie is called From Hebrews to Negroes. He then said right shortly thereafter, he ain't sharing the link because he liked his job. And I know, and he puts laugh out loud, and I laugh out loud at it too, but I make the statement that no, I can't be mad at it, but I can't be afraid of it, because at some point, right, it's tough in a country that encourages every aspect of free speech. I think that you gave the example of someone responding to a direct question about, do you support Black Lives Matter, with a statement, well, all lives matter. You gave that example of, can I automatically assume the person that says all lives, like you put me in a conundrum, because yes, all lives matter, but why would you respond to that? But it's sort of tongue in cheek, and there's an exchange. There's certain topics that I think are off ground that don't get included in this idea of that, hey, there is free speech, and this seems to be one of them. And I'm fine with it. Let's just call it what it is. That those are topics that are out of bounds. But no.
But hate speech is technically not free speech, right? You're not allowed to say hateful shit, right?
Hate crime. Absolutely. Hateful is absolutely not free speech.
It's not free speech. Hate speech.
That can incite a riot. That can incite violence. But now how wide ranging
in the NBA,
is that?
Well, whatever. When you put something out there, and again, Kyrie must agree with me, because he stands up for what he believes, and he apologized. So he found out.
And before, I'm
level
sorry.
10. He found out level 10. So
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to say this, because it just at the moment I want to make sure I say it. Because in certain communities, Jewish communities, they're on high alert right now because of the fervor around these topics. So let me say unequivocally, I don't support violence against anybody. Unequivocally, I don't support espousing certain things that create violence. Let me just say that, we'll end the show there as well. So, and I'll let you finish. I just want to make sure that it's clear. There's a clear line of demarcation where I stand. But Kyrie's response, while it was a little bit, tried to be flippant, his response was, I don't support violence against any people. And I do double down on that particular statement, that any violence against any human being for something as trivial, not trivial because it's meaningful, but it's something as basic to their right to be Jewish, to be Black, to be tall, to be short, is tragic. That's tragic. That's no real appreciation for life. So I'll say that there, and I'll let you finish. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Again, just to be fair to the situation, and I apologize. I'm trying to find out exactly what he said earlier, so that we're not just kind of saying he kind of said. But the end of the day is, you make a statement, and I said, "Hey, that's that." I just want to make analogies easier. I think that sounds pretty racist. Are you saying you support racism? I think your answer should be a quick, no, I do not support racism. And then if you want to get deep after that with some deep shit afterwards, you can get deep. Like, I do not support anti-Semitism in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I love all people. I don't think I could be an anti-Semite because I believe that anti-Semite and the descendants of the Jews or Semites were from Africa or whatever. If they consider that to be anti-Semitic, maybe Jewish people consider that to be anti-Semitic. I haven't watched the movie, so I don't know how deep this dude goes. I know that there's a lot of stuff. If I've seen people on TikToks go into the dictionary and say like Semites are from Ethiopia and different parts of places that we know that are Black originators. So I don't know. They're getting all into it. I haven't put a lot of thought into it. You know what I mean? To try to look in the background. I'm not Jewish, so what the original Jews look like is not really of consequence to me. Like it's never been something that has to be something for me to research. But if somebody asks you a direct question, you promoted this. Are you saying that you promote that? You have a chance to clear yourself. And he didn't take that opportunity. And I just think that's where he made a mistake. And I think he realizes he made that mistake because I've never seen Kyrie Irving do what the society pressures him into saying is the right thing in less than 24 hours.
And I think the more we don't talk about it, I appreciate you, Crump. Say, fellas, I appreciate your bravery to tackle this subject. The more we don't talk about it, the more, and because last week we sort of dove into the topic, but every time that even saying the word Jewish was uttered, I mean, I could see your eyebrow raise up. You start sweating a little bit. I think the more we don't talk about it, the more we're in this world that is, at least we try to be in this world that is inclusive, that we can have these discussions, that we can admit what we don't know and try to get to a point where we know it. And we've got communities now, while there are still, communities that are predominantly, or in some cases exclusively, a certain religion or a certain color. America is getting to the point where we're all integrated in some point, whether it be at the school, whether it be at work. So I like the world where, no, I don't want to offend anybody. I'm absolutely not going to support and recycle any hate. But I also don't know everything. So let's have the conversation. That's just where
the movie said the Holocaust didn't occur, I guess. You're not gonna get away with that. And he said,
that's what the movie said. The Holocaust never occurred.
I'm reading this thing and it says those falsehoods. There's some last week Irving posted to Twitter, Hebrews, Negroes, blah blah blah, which was viewed as anti-Semitic. And he's like, some falsehoods. The falsehoods are unfortunate. Irving said when asked if he believed the Holocaust occurred, despite what the movie said. And it's not that I don't believe in the Holocaust. I never said that. Never have said that. It did not come out of my mouth. So basically, the bottom line is he just was go back to he's fucking around. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, get through the topic, get through the interview, apologize, and be done. We all got mad at President Trump because he wouldn't say. And now, President Trump, I did, for those Trump people that watch, I did see them say that he disavows the KKK or whatever. He doesn't say it every time, but he said it a couple times. I've seen it on tape. But we get mad because you dance around an easy question, right?
Right.
So if you're in here saying the Holocaust didn't happen, you're putting a different film out there. What's his name? This one Republican dude just got sued for $100 million because he tried to say Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook didn't happen.
The school shooting didn't happen.
Yeah. Right? So like when you start doing stuff like that, this didn't happen, and you're trying to do propaganda, I can see why, as a Jewish person, Jewish leaders especially, you're gonna say, "Nah, I'm not gonna let this movie come out here where you're trying to say." I mean, the Holocaust happened, man. Like, what are we? You trying to say they faked all those people getting killed and all the atrocities that went on? So when you start saying it didn't happen and you start doing different things, that's people, believe that stuff. You know what I mean? People believe Obama wasn't born in America because Trump told everybody he wasn't born in America. They want to believe it. They want to hate him. So they were happy to do it. He became president. His popularity, his rise to power was based off of the lie that he told everybody that Obama wasn't born here. And they had a birthing movement. Remember?
I do
all
think
lies. He knew it was a lie. All lies. So you get all these people coming out with these things. So they have to, as a community that's been persecuted, they have to come out and attack that shit before it becomes a popular thing. And because before you know it, there's going to be, and I've heard this before, there's a lot of people that are Holocaust deniers. There's been a lot of people who say they don't. But again, to their credit, the Jewish community attacks those people every time. Because if you let it sit out there too long, it becomes, think about all the lies we've heard over politics the last few years. There's the Trumps and the non-Trumps. And both of us think the other people are crazy for believing the lies. Because there's a lot of absolute lies. it's not misinformation. One of them is an absolute lie, but you start believing it. And the Jewish people say, "No, hey, find out."
Look, man,
Level
after
10.
around the found out episode, I'm for it. I just want everyone to be equal in their allyship. And my friend and I'm giving you a quick glimpse into our conversation because we would never have that conversation publicly. We both said some things that were under the protection of we're in close quarters and we're friends, but we got to the conversation about human atrocity. The Holocaust was absolutely that, the atrocity against humans. And then I said we would agree that slavery was also an atrocity against humans, right? He absolutely, yeah, I would agree. Mm-hmm. And you would agree that in this country, as recent as 5 years ago, there were still state capitals that flew a Confederate flag, which is symbolism of the Confederate that embraced slavery, right? Yeah, no, you're right. You would agree that in this country, there's still reenactments of the Civil War where we celebrate Confederate generals, right? Yeah. And at the end of it, I said, that's my only issue is that I just think that there's levels to how we're offended. Whereas at the end of the day, both things, the Holocaust and slavery, were atrocities against human beings. And I celebrate the fact that any group of people, Jewish, Black, you name it, women, LGBTQ community, stand up and protect against atrocities against human, but stand up and protect against attacks, against verbal attacks, physical attacks, not being included in certain respects of life. I celebrate that. I just wish we all could be as equally vigilant in speaking up for one another. And so with that, I think that this Kyrie situation, he effed around and found out that you can't.
I'm going to do some more reading, guys. And if this is still alive next week, which maybe it will be, but I'll talk a little bit more about it. Reading into these questions, it wasn't a quick, it looks like an in-depth interview. And some of the questions he asked are, a lot of it's package and delivery. Even crazy Kanye, some of the things that Kanye has to talk about aren't wrong. He just is not articulate on how he has to say things. You know what I mean? Even when he tried to say slavery was a choice, I actually don't think he meant like people say, hey, sign me up. I think what he tried to mean is like to mentally be a slave or allow yourself to be controlled. You could have chose to rebel. I think, again, a little speculation here. But he's just so inarticulate on how
somebody else said it too. Like Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed a lot more other slaves if they just knew that they were slaves.
They were slaves, right?
That's
how
a
you
different,
say
more
things,
articulate way to say it.
And we're in a soundbite community.
Said.
So even prepping for the show, I'm guilty of not reading everything that he had to say. But, what happened is Kyrie got offended when they asked him if he was anti-Semitic, and he got offended by it. When he posted the video, he didn't put any context with the video. So when you post something without any context, without any comments, I have to assume that you're posting it in full agreement with what you're doing. That's what social media etiquette is. If I post something and I don't put anything, it's look at this. I want you to see it. I believe in it. So I think he didn't have an opportunity to sit there and say, hey, listen, this thing goes too deep in a lot of areas that I don't agree with or whatever, but there's some good points there. And that's a possibility. Most things are not 100% bad or 100% good. There's bits and pieces you can point to. But why did you share that? When you share it blindly, it sounds like you're saying you promote everything that the guy said. And you're a public figure, so you're standing behind it. I look at that kind of stuff, and I can't post everything that I look through. I'm like, nah, this little thing here messed me up. I can't post it, take my name off of it. Or if I'm on a conversation that goes where there's a post and people are going and the comments start to get a little too unprofessional. I have family members and elderly family members. I've got work associates that are on Facebook. Sometimes I got to take my post off. Not that I'm scared to speak my mind. Obviously, I do it every week doing this. But sometimes you can't let yourself be associated with something else because I'm a responsible adult that realizes you're associated with it. And I just think Kyrie needs to sit back sometimes and understand, like, you're not a kind of person that just can have a barbershop conversation with the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to think through what you're saying. So
Well,
Found out.
he going to sit back because he got at a minimum 5 games. Glass Bart, you might have a point there. Kyrie is the most creative PTO guy ever. He figures out ways to get time off, and this might be just another example of him finding a way to get time off. But I just think we got to revisit the whiteboard. And Kyrie, it is what it is, man. It is what it is, Kyrie. You know what it is.
Today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph.
I think Kyrie
and I come horizontally.
I like that he had the dot
where it
already.
intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. Now there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around,
Kyrie,
the more you're going to find out.
The more you find out.
And also,
where was this guy?
If you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.
But one would say
that the best part is
seeking
I hope
knowledge,
this,
though.
Is that
seeking knowledge? You have to fuck around a little bit to find out. Is that what it is? Or do you just go around blind? So maybe there's something to Kyrie.
The best part was, I hope this lesson was helpful. Kyrie, I hope this lesson was helpful because you done effed around and found out.
What did my man say?
On this episode,
if you don't know, now you know.
Now you know. You know what I mean? The quotes keep coming from some of the greats, and they are on point here. On this episode, After Round and Find Out, this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy B Brown ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mountain South, aka Mr. Successful Celebration, aka Brazy. Here with the Big Flow Show from the Central Time Zone. It's just the two of us, man. We're gonna bring it to you, man, today. The way that we do it, rough, rugged, and raw. So do me a favor, man. It won't cost you anything. It won't cost you anything to like this video, to comment in the video, to share it with friends, tag somebody, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know, and please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and to the podcast. All of those options cost you absolutely nothing, and you will be helping us out. You're going to F around and find out. If you give us some more houses, you get us some more ears, you get us in front of more viewers, away we go. It was not the only story from the Brooklyn Nets. You also had a man by the name of Steve Nash this week. And leave it to freaking Kyrie to make the Kanye story go away. Hold my beer, Kanye.
But Steve Nash story only had about 30 minutes.
Steve Nash had 30 seconds because they tried to say that they parted ways. The good old parted ways. Steve Nash and the Brooklyn Nets part ways. So I don't know whether or not we want to call it part ways. What do we want to call it?
I'm gonna say I saw when it first came out, I saw part ways, but somebody quickly got there and was like, "Nope, fired."
Mutually part ways is how they started.
I only heard part ways early on. ESPN reported this part ways, but everybody else called it fired. They called it what it was. Beat it. Time to go.
Do we think that he should have been fired? Let's start there. Should he have been hired? I said on the show he should have never been hired. I have more coaching experience because I coached the South Mountain YMCA Ducks as a coach. I have more coaching experience than Steve Nash. Yet Steve Nash got the job to coach at that point, probably the most coveted job because you had Kyrie finding out and doing all that he did and being a anti-vaxxer and taking days off to go see to go to his sister's birthday. Right, that was Kyrie at the prime of his marketability.
Mm-hmm.
That was
before he started seeking knowledge.
Before he started seeking knowledge, before the incidents in the Sage, whatever he got going on. Mm-hmm. But that was Steve Nash got probably the most highly coveted job at the time. And I said he shouldn't have been hired. Now, who am I not to be an I told you so guy? But at the risk of just going right to that explanation that I told you so, let's just quickly, should he ever been hired? Do we think that this was the right time to fire him? We know that you got Seth Curry. You have injuries, and we're still a long ways away from the trade deadline. I think ultimately, I know Dwight Howard said he wanted to play for him. So was this premature to fire him, or was it premature to hire him?
It wasn't. Now, as far as hiring him, I thought KD was on board with that. Wasn't KD on board with them hiring him?
I think so, but very early into the tenure, when they said, I mean, Steve Nash ain't the problem, we can play without a coach. That right there told me all I need to know. But I think Kevin Durant was on board for it, and he probably saw some similarities between Steve Nash being a Hall of Fame guard and Steve Kerr. While he's not a Hall of Fame guard, he was a very successful point guard in the NBA. He probably saw some similarities. But it didn't work out.
Better crossover. Yeah, I think you got to get rid of him. The season's starting bad. You've already tanked it. You got so much money sunk in here. You got all these things here. The team's ready to implode. Who knew that Twitter would be do whatever? But maybe this Twitter situation will get Kyrie tuned back in. Maybe he'll keep his mouth shut a little bit. And I don't want to say that. I mean, feel free to use your platform, but maybe it'll get him to be a little bit more. Just put a little bit more thought, because he keeps saying these things that that has to back out. This is the first time he really got slapped in the face, because he keeps getting paid his checks for everything else that happens. So maybe this will get him a little more focused. Again, keep talking, Kyrie. I don't want to tell anybody to keep their mouth closed, but maybe he'll be a little more focused and they'll do something. Who is the interim coach?
Jock Vaughn, but they say your boy Umeka, Goldie from Boston.
Goldie, is he? That's amazing. I saw that. I can't believe we didn't talk about that in the pregame. But yeah, this dude is a winner. This man.
So he did not F around and find out. If Goldie gets this job, he is taking pimping to a whole nother level. Pimping.
He ain't even lose his girl. They say he's still with his girl. Have you heard her come out and say anything?
They've got a more liberal styled relationship.
Polyamorous. Okay. I didn't know they were polyamorous. At the end of the day, he done messed around. He done found out for a minute, and now they found out. So technically, Boston found out.
Boston effed around and found out.
They don't find out because this man, if he goes over there coaching, man, he didn't lose at all.
But Steve Nash, and I said it when he was hired. I was like, look, man, and not to make everything about black and white, but sometimes it is, right? You said that when you said someone at ESPN went in and changed the context instead of mutually parted ways, got fired, you just automatically assumed that was somebody black. Hell no. Y'all walked me out with a security, I got fired. We didn't part
all caps too. It was like the font was this big. Yeah. Fired. Your ass about here.
But it seemed as though even with Steve Nash being hired, I did kind of make it about black and white. Like, you know how many guards that went from being perennial NBA all-star guards to life after the NBA that had to do something. A lot of them had to do the most trivial jobs when you look at the pecking order. When you look at the org chart, some of the best NBA players start at the bottom of an org chart to work their way up in order to have an opportunity to one day become a head coach. Steve Nash, who I thought was a great basketball player, although he stole at least one of those MVPs, was a great basketball player. He got to skip his lily white ass right into the damn head coaching job. And to me, it didn't seem right. And now, who am I not to say I told you so?
What was Steve Kerr's rise?
I don't know if Steve Kerr had a head coaching job prior to Golden State. Great question. One that I'm not prepared to answer. But I know most coaches have to do something in coaching before they become a head coach.
The only reason why I'm remembering it this way because of how I justified it in my head is when KD signed off on it. I mean, nowadays these players are so much stronger than the coach. If shut up,
but that's what you say polyamorous, whatever you say.
Polyamorous. I live a plural lifestyle. Hey man, you can do whatever you want now. But when KD signed off on it, I mean, whose idea was it? Did KD say go get him? Did he say, let's get this guy, or did they say, we're gonna hire him tomorrow? You cool? And he said, I don't care. I don't know how much it was. But
I don't know. We'll look more into it. I think
I took Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson was available. You had several brothers that was available. And Steve Nash got to skip to the front of the line, whistling Dixie. And
at least he's like a Hall of Fame guy, though. At least
what that got to do with coaching?
I don't know.
It has very little to do with
They found out, man. They found out, man.
They found
out.
Effed around and found out. Let's move on to the Lakers, man, because they're going to F around and find out, too. The Lakers, when they finally won a game after going 0-5, they went 1-5. They had champagne in the locker room.
At least get the cameras out of there if you're going to do that, right?
Champagne in the locker room? Is this where we are now? Are we officially at the bottom of it? Is this the new generation, Generation Z? I mean, I guess this team combines Generation Z and millennials, but like, as a matter of fact, I mean, LeBron's on the edge of being Generation X. I don't know where that ends and starts. He's probably the very first person born in millennial generation, if indeed he's a millennial. But
you got kids that are millennials.
Yeah, that's crazy. But this man and his team, is this your leader? Is this who you look up to? After winning one game, they popping bubbly, and this your guy? He popping bubbly after one game. And look, man, as our guy Bubba Dub said, Magic Irving Johnson rolling over his grave right now, although he not dead. Seeing these dudes popping bubbly.
He said Kobe Bryant was in his grave, bro.
They popping bubbly with one win. Come on, Flo. Make it plain to me, man. Allow me to appreciate that moment when you went 0-5 with all these expectations. You got all this turmoil in your locker room. You still ain't playing worth a damn. And you got the nerve, the unmitigated gall to pop bubbly after winning one game. Who bought the champagne? Who was the person you told keep this chill? At some point,
had to pop.
Hey, look,
they had to pop it.
It was smart enough to say this ain't right.
They had
this ain't who we are, Lakers.
It was starting to go bad. They had bought it so long ago. When it was going bad, they're like, we got to pop it sometime.
That was last year's.
This 2 weeks ago, we got this thing. We thought we were going to win the first game. So I guess it's a dude. But here's the problem. Why are the Lakers being coached by a guy who had his first win that's to be celebrated? The Lakers couldn't hire somebody who's got almost Hall of Fame type, you know what I'm saying?
And
there's got to be somebody. This is the Lakers.
Darwin Ham had a big old lump on his head. Sorry, Darwin Ham, but you had a lump on your head. He had a big old lump on his head. Darwin Ham did.
Anyway. I don't know. Oh, yeah, they were saying how many wins they had. That was hilarious. And they put that as a 0 and 5. That was terrible. But yeah, why are the Lakers being coached? That's a bigger question. Why are the Lakers being coached by somebody who needs a win, their first win celebrated?
Because it's been that bad, man. And while
they should hire Nash, he got some experience now.
He does. He does. Maybe they will.
I mean, they didn't pop the bottle for Nash when he won. Sometimes you just got to get the cameras out of here, man, because the optics are bad. But that was embarrassing. But I still had to say Lakers in 6.
Lakers in 6 what?
Championship. NBA.
The Lakers couldn't beat. Look, man, Lakers bad. Look, they've now, since that moment, which I think was not a celebratory moment when you've been 0-5 with all these expectations. Since then, they have won a subsequent game. They lost, I think, a 16-point lead to the Pelicans, but Matt Ryan, not that Matt Ryan, who, plays football, the other Matt Ryan, who I didn't even really know existed,
where's cheeky black?
Made a 3-pointer in regulation to force it to overtime. They beat the Pelicans overtime. So now they ain't just got one win. They got 2.
They got 2.
But at some point, if you're going to be the Lakers, you shouldn't be celebrating 2 wins. Sorry.
Oh, there goes Sheldon George. I was going to say, man, this cat, Where he at? Because I'm glad you could step up, man. You're kind of quiet. Your Pelicans gave up
He
that
tried to
dub
hide back there. He tried to
the
hide.
one. Yeah, trying to hide in the comments. I couldn't find it.
I'm just gonna tuck mine.
Hey, Sheldon Jordan is the most diehard fan to his teams in the
He's
world.
all Louisiana.
If you know him,
I
you know his
respect it.
teams. You don't even have to know him well. You know his teams. You know he's UFC, LSU, Saints, Pelicans, and then maybe Notre Dame. He'll give us a little something.
You know, he'll give us some love. He'll give us
a
some
little
love.
bit.
We appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, we ask you guys kindly and humbly, please like, please comment, please share, please tag a friend, please tag a foe, please tag anybody that you know. Let's get to another team in the Western Conference that is also struggling. And that is the Garden State, excuse me, that is a AAU team. I just messed up and called the Garden State. Golden State Warriors, man. The Golden State Warriors are also struggling. And Clay, who I really like, I like Clay. Clay looked like he was made of clay. It looked like he was 137 years old last night. He couldn't defend nobody. And the Orlando Magic, who has a similar record to the Los Angeles Lakers, which means they ain't good. The Orlando Magic was able to beat the Golden State Warriors last night. I think it was 130 to 129. But when you see numbers like 130, I'm asking, who the hell playing defense? 130 points. At some point, you cannot outscore everybody. And Steve Kerr said he is flirting with the idea of tinkering with the lineup. What I didn't say is about the Lakers, just to go back one topic, is Russell Westbrook is actually playing better since he came off the bench. So the Lakers and Russell Westbrook then effed around and found out that maybe he is a reserve player now at this point in his career, at least on this team, in this roster, in this situation. But Steve Kerr is also contemplating tinkering with the lineup. And Clay, I don't know what they're going to do. Jordan Poole, I think, is an answer if they wanted to in the starting lineup, but always a good day when Golden State is struggling because I get to laugh at my son who swears by it. He was born and raised in the Steph Curry era. And he team light skin too. So everybody that's below a certain age that don't have as much pigment, it ain't got nothing to do with colorism when it comes to Steph Curry. Everybody loves Steph Curry. Everybody loves Steph Curry. So that young face and he just got it all going on. I just love when Golden State is struggling. So I got a smile on my face, and we'll see. The entire Western Conference is
like Golden State.
Except
for Draymond, and even Draymond, whatever. That's hard to dislike Golden State. They
play the game the right way.
Hey, but Raymond Chick. I'm sorry, I said your last name wrong. I'm not saying he didn't earn the right to be a head coach. I'm just saying, like, if you're coaching these all-stars you have on this team that need to be put together, we need something. Get Popovich. You know what I'm saying? Like, go get somebody that's been through the war. Not that she hasn't earned the right for a chance. I just don't know if the Lakers should be your chance, your first job, your first coaching job.
I agree with you. And I'm all about black employment. But I had to get to the point with Hugh Jackson when he was 1-31 with the Browns. I couldn't believe after him going 0-16, because that's when they played 16 games. I couldn't believe they tried to hire that man back. I'm for black employment, but I want to be rational in who gets employed. Darwin Ham and that big old lump on his head should not have been the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. It's like, it's the Lakers. It's the Lake Show. It is the franchise that all other professional sports espouse to be. You got a whole different category, the Lakers and the Yankees. Those are different category of organizations and franchises. So Darwin Ham with that big old lump on his head should not have been hired as their coach. Ain't nothing wrong with saying that.
Not on this head. Oh, well, you know what?
They sorry now, though. They good and sorry. And I just want to, and since we are doing these interviews, sir, in this episode of Effed Around and Found Out, I know you like LeBron. I know you like the Lakers, but y'all sorry. So what do you think about that, sir?
Who are you talking to?
Y'all sorry. Yes.
I thought you was talking to somebody else. They're having a slow start, man. The NBA is a long season, man. Don't worry about nothing to the All-Star game.
You going with that one? It's a long season. I got you.
It's a long season, man. They try to figure things out. You got to work on some stuff. They got to figure out a new coach.
That's the equivalent of my Twitter account got hacked. You know what I mean? You might as well your team got hacked. Hey, they not who they say they are. They're pretenders. They
Besides the
stink.
Bulls, and besides back the Kobe and whatever, like nobody's sweet from just whistle to whistle. They usually mess around and come back, don't they? Don't excuses. We all do excuses over here, Sheldon. I don't care what the hell.
I had to give you that one. Sheldon said he just wanted to know. He didn't say it's an excuse. He just wanted you to know that they had 2 starters out. That's it. Factual.
Was any of them named Zion or who was the starters?
Brandon Ingram.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Okay,
he balled out too.
But anyway, long story short, it take a little while, man. They got to get the chemistry right. They got a new coach in there. They bring your boy off the bench. They got to figure out what they're gonna do now that Melo not. You know what I'm saying? They got to work. Dude, Ashley Larry hasn't played no defense yet. What's the new guy they had? Beverly.
Patrick Beverly. Yeah, you called him Ashley Larry.
Ashley Larry. Doesn't he look like he'd be ashy as hell? Like when you see him, Patrick Beverly look like he's ashy when he put lotion on.
Hey, I'm an ashy dude, man. I believe in being ashy. I think it shows a level of masculinity. So I
Makes
support that
stronger.
Ashley brothers decision. It
Look
shows
rough.
a certain level of masculinity. Don't be always moisturizing your heels and your hands.
I'm
be
a
ashy,
lineman,
baby.
I'm a lineman. If you don't think my knuckles look weathered, you crazy, but you can't see them.
Hey,
Anyway, long story short, they're going Lakers in 6.
Lakers in 6. Oh my gosh. At the next AAU tournament, Lakers in 6. I appreciate whoever this is. This YouTube contributor says all you gotta say is Shannon Sharp was pro-black, but that changed as soon as he opened his mouth about Kyrie. And I think that the tightrope that we're all walking when it comes to the topic, and my man Andre Crompton from Notre Dame said it, he appreciates us for having the fortitude to tackle this tough topic. It puts us all in a real tough position, man, because the term anti-Semitism, right, is such a, like, what does the initial statement from Kanye saying that basically, oh man, there's a lot of Jewish people that are powerful in entertainment, was that initial comment. Let me be clear, because he didn't said a whole bunch of stuff after that. I'm like, yo, that dude got hate in his heart. But in that statement, I'm like, I don't think that's anti-Semitic. But the term itself is very, very wide ranging. So I think, especially a guy like Shannon Sharp, in that seat, you better believe he's walking a tightrope. You better believe he's walking a tightrope.
I don't even know what he said.
I just guess the topic about Kyrie, he seemed a little less 5%er, because Shannon is normally on the edge.
But see, don't do that. We can't do that. Just because you,
I didn't hear the interview. I'm just
no. But I'm talking to Eric, I guess.
Okay, all right.
And Eric, I didn't hear the interview either. But like, you can't say someone's not pro-black just because they don't support. If I'm assuming he must not have supported Kyrie Irving, doesn't mean you're no longer pro-black. I mean, like, it's just not an all or nothing thing. You know what I mean? Like, you can, as a black man, I'm very pro-black, but I disagree with a lot of stuff some people say that are black. That's okay. You know what I'm saying? I love my alma mater, but we could turn the camera off. I can criticize Notre Dame all day for things, but that's okay. You can. They're not mutually exclusive. So I don't know.
Fair.
But we'll
Fair.
talk later.
I didn't hear it. I will go look at it and see what Shannon Sharp says. But he is normally very outspoken when it comes to issues that impact the black community. So I will make sure I go listen to it. Let's stick to our guns here and get to this other NBA story, because this young man, Joshua Primo, who was a lottery pick in the 2021 draft from the San Antonio Spurs, who the Spurs just exercised 3 weeks ago, that 3-year option that would have paid him a lot of money in 23, lots of money. They would have paid him a lot of money. Joshua Primo, we're going to go ahead and bring you out to the front of the stage, the front of the classroom. We got to come to the front of the classroom, Joshua Primo. We got something to tell you. And it starts here on the whiteboard. Joshua Primo.
Right, today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide, how much do we want to find out? So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. That there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out.
In this example,
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.
So I'm going to argue. I'm going to argue that this young brother wanted to find out.
He wanted to find out. For those of you who don't know, Joshua Primo, this young player, exposed himself allegedly to a therapist, one that was hired by the San Antonio Spurs, one that is now suing Joshua Primo and the San Antonio Spurs, and one that claims, we are still at the allegedly stage, that claims that Joshua Primo exposed himself several times. Not one, not two, not three. We ain't talking championships. We talking about showing off your mans in them 9 times. Not one, not two, not 9 times exposing himself. Now, to be fair, Joshua Primo's attorney says that, first of all, there are some serious conflict issues. And he says that the exposure came by way of seeing this person's private part, Joshua Primo's, through his shorts. The specialist, the therapist that was hired by the Spurs, had a 1-year contract, was not renewed in August of 2022, has hired as her attorney, drum roll please, Tony Busby, the same attorney that represented all of the, I'll go ahead and say, I don't necessarily want to say victims, all of the plaintiffs in the Deshaun Watson case. Where are we at with it, man? I mean, listen, in this episode of Effed Around and Found Out, Joshua Primo effed around and found out, but I think that there are some concerns about privacy when it comes to therapy. I don't know how exposing yourself,
pun intended. Yeah. Listen, I want this thing to go to trial because here's why. I want to be on the jury, but I want to hear about it. Because if you hear his excuse, he said he did not know you could see his junk through these shorts, right? And she said he exposed himself 9 times. So at some point during the trial, because we're all saying, huh? He's gonna have to get up and show the judge what he's working with, right?
In the same shorts.
He just go ahead and drop his shit in front of the judge and the jury and say, listen, he got to have a hose. Let's just be honest. He got something crazy got to be going on down there. For you to tell me that your stuff is heading out your shorts and you didn't notice. I just got wind coming. So he going to have to be like, look, hey, I'm sorry, judge.
I don't know what happened to Flo's show thing there. He got cut off. I guess somebody, the powers that be, said you can't be talking like that. So when he gets back in,
he got to get up and say, I'm extremely gifted. And because I'm extremely gifted, I don't know what's going on. But the excuse had me scratching my head. Like, what, you were in the session and you didn't know your stuff was sticking out?
Yeah.
Jesus.
What
type of shorts you wear? I know these kids wearing little shorts these days, but goddamn.
This is why, and before I move on, you see my man Crit says, Reg, don't cut your beard until the Lakers win the chip. Are you willing to take that bet? Don't stutter. Are you willing to take that bet?
Yeah, but she hates the beard, so you might, but the Lakers will win the chip this year. I could keep it till June. In 6.
But all right, and then fast forward to Joshua Primo. I hate that these these lawyer jokes get life from people like Tony Busby. Right? It's like, how did this particular person find Tony Busby to be their attorney? But we'll see what happens, man. I don't know exactly how you could do that.
So many questions.
So many questions. But this young man effed around and found out. And when the Spurs found out about it initially, because she said she did complain, she did say that this was an issue.
They didn't do anything about it. But not to him. Like, he has mental. You're a therapist, right? So he got some things going on.
What if it didn't happen? Are we at least going to allow the possibility that indeed he didn't know that his package was exposed? Is that possible?
I had that problem too sometimes, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. It's just the questions. Everybody trying to be mature about it. What the do you mean you didn't know he was out? What's going on here, man?
Hey, man, I don't know, man. It's one of
She
those
ain't never say
situations
nothing.
where,
Like, hey, you're exposed. You know, I've had to tell women things that were embarrassing about. Say, listen, excuse me, ma'am, XYZ. Oh, I'm sorry.
lies.
Okay. That's true. I've had to do that. I'm not going to get all work and graphic and shit, but you had to tell a woman, hey, you know what I'm saying? I think you don't know something that's going on with your body right now. And she embarrassed to walk. Oh, I'm so sorry. Walk around, whatever. You need to know. But if she said, your meat is showing. 9 times she never said nothing to me. Or refused to see him again. I don't know. I hate to minimize the type of stuff. What the fuck?
Hey, you better watch what you ask for, because if it go to trial, you're gonna be the one tomorrow.
It needs to go to
found
trial.
out this man.
I need to hear, and it needs to be a TV movie, because I want to go to that point where the judge is like, "What do you mean you didn't know?" He can be like, "Judge,
Right.
I'm sorry." And he goes,
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth. You're not even saying he flashed. I thought the dude like opened his towel up and was doing a little,
I thought he was too. When you first hear it, and that's why I hate how the news presents stuff. Because just like we talked about the difference between fired and mutually parted ways, when I heard that he exposed himself, I didn't think that this was a print in any shorts. I thought he literally took his stuff down like, hey.
I think what you had to deduce from this is that she could see not just the print. You can't get nobody for the print. That's just like saying you can see my nipples through the shirt. I'm saying that something had to be the eye of the needle was poking at her. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I can think of. That was exposed.
Yo, this man said the eye of the needle. We'll see. We'll see
the
how
third
it all
eye
plays
was winking.
Somebody winking at me.
Sometimes we hear stories. You're like, what happened, man? I gotta hear a story. I need anybody work for this team, man. Please call me. Let me.
If this is found to be true, this young man will never play again, right? And so he effed around and found out at the young age of I'm imagining he's a 2021.
He looks like he's 15
2021. He probably ain't nothing but 18, 19 years old, maybe 20 years old. And he effed around and found out just how controversial that is. And he effed around and found out just how powerful this litigious society can be when there are allegations that rise to the level of a lawsuit. The San Antonio Spurs quickly and summarily parted ways with this young man, and no one's going to touch him with a 10-foot pole, pun intended. If indeed this is found to be true, he's never going to get another job in the NBA. And that is the ultimate sacrifice, something you've been dreaming and working for your entire life. That is the ultimate example. You done effed around and found out.
He'll be out there hooping with Taco Falls in China. Taco Falls balling now. You better watch out.
Hey, you better figure out which country you go to trying to expose yourself. You effed around and found out in the wrong country. Everybody don't handle it in the courtroom. Some people handle it other ways. They mess around and chop off your thing, man. But here, let's go on to another story that we got to get to before we get out of here, man. Because on this episode of Effed Around and Found Out, Gonzaga has been rumored is thinking about moving to the Big 12. And I don't think that that's a bad thing that they're messing around and going to. And my man Raymond talked about the Kyrie situation and what about Amazon and Jeff Bezos. Let's just get this before I post any other comments. Let's just get the elephant in the room addressed. It ain't right. It ain't fair, but it's real and it's factual that there are different laws that we live by in America. And I hate that Kyrie had to discover it in such a rich and expensive way, but there are different rules, man.
You got free money.
There was a candidate while running for the highest position in the land. It was disclosed, right, and produced so everyone can hear it and see it. The most damning evidence imaginable on a hot mic, him saying that repeatedly, habitually, he grabs women by their private parts against their will with no consent because he's rich. And yet he went on to win that election to the highest seat in the land. There are different rules in this country. Doesn't make it right, but it makes it real. Doesn't make it fair, but it is absolutely factual. And that's just what it is.
You just came up with that right there. That's kind of decent.
Yeah, I didn't even
right,
think that one
real,
out, man.
fair,
Sometimes
you might. When's your album dropping?
Yeah, man, I might have to drop some bars.
Okay.
There's a seat open at the top since Kanye is officially been demoted.
Scoot over. There's a gym shoe. Hey, Adidas is looking for a new gym shoe.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Get some Yeezys. They're going to be called Breezys. How about
Breezys?
that? Let's hop into this, man, because Gonzaga, who has been the darling of college basketball, they have been in the top 5 for almost the last 5 years in some capacity, whether 1 or 5. They have been a favorite. They've been a 1 seed repeatedly, but they are now talking about moving to the Big 12. And Bobby Huggins said, all right, you're going to F around and find out. You don't want this smoke. I love me some Bobby Huggins, man, because he always says what he needs to say. Bobby Huggins has also been notorious for his DUI videos and making a whole bunch of mistakes. But I think this is the one he didn't sort of stole the show with this one. You know what I mean? He said to Gonzaga, it will be a tremendous awakening for Gonzaga to join the Big 12. In other words, you're going to F around and find out.
I don't even know why you do that, though. Do you not want them to join? Like, why even make that comment? Like,
now they almost got to join.
They have to join now. Like, and they're going to punch you in the face. Every time they punch you in the face, they're going to be in your ear now. What you doing? Although it's a weird join, because right now with this conference realignment, it's mostly football driven. It seems interesting for a basketball move. And why wouldn't they just join the Pac-12? Aren't they in Washington? Isn't Gonzaga?
They are in Washington State, yes.
You would think they would join out there, but hey.
But they don't. Regional geography doesn't matter anymore. USC going to the freaking SEC or Big Ten, whatever they're going to.
Big Ten,
right? Regional proximity doesn't matter anymore because they got bread now. They can travel anywhere. That used to be a contingency when the budgets for these athletic departments had some rational meaning. Now it's so irrational. The budgets are like this is the whole, and I'm going to prevent myself from going down that rabbit hole. But this is why I get pissed when we blindly celebrate NIL, where these colleges, these institutions, these athletic programs still ain't got to pay nothing. Proximity doesn't matter. So they can go anywhere because they got bread. But Bobby Huggins said, be careful coming across that bridge.
Don't be here when the lights go out. After dark. All the games played at night. You don't want to be here after dark.
Freeze come out at night. My man, hey, I'll tell you this, man. That is the ultimate in trash talking. Does Bobby Huggins have a point? Does the Cinderella darling story of Gonzaga get punched right in the mouth if they got to go play a real Big 12 schedule where you got the Kansases of the world and the West Virginia? I'll give him his credit, West Virginians of the world. Does he have a point? You know, do you get punched in the mouth if you come to the Big 12, Gonzaga? Stay home or F around and find out. Does he have a point?
No. I mean, Gonzaga's a top-notch program. They make it far in the tournament. You got to go through that. It's not like they just avoid people. They play real basketball over there. It's a different style. It may not be the same way. They'll adjust. The beauty of basketball is, football, you got 22 people you got to fill, plus the special teams. Right. You got 5 dudes on the court. At the end of the day, if they need they start recruiting a couple tougher kids, they'll get a couple tougher kids. I just don't like I just feel like the alignment is weird. If I'm at Gonzaga and I got to go all the way to Baylor, all the way to Kansas, or every game from Washington. I mean, Washington is not convenient to go anywhere except Washington. So that would frustrate me if I was a recruit, but they'll be all right.
Fair. We shall see. We got 2 more topics, man. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna talk about NFL, but before we do, let's go forward by going backwards because we started with Kyrie, which is a cousin to Kanye, and it's worth mentioning because I talked about sort of the ripple effect of the backlash that the Kanye and and we'll get to Kyrie, but the Kanye drama was creating, and one of the ripple effects was Donda Academy. And they shut down for the rest of the year. All the students have to find somewhere else to go. But you remember also some of the basketball showcases that had invited Donda Academy to play had rescinded their invitation. If that ain't powerful. But now it's worth mentioning that these young men, and I want to make sure I let them people say them by name, right? You've got Rob Dillingham, who's a Kentucky commit. He's decided to join Overtime Elite. He is going to forego a salary to preserve his college eligibility. AJ Johnson, who's the number 25 recruit in the 2023 class, he's going to be going to SoCal Academy. And it sounds like his teammate, Jacob Barnaby, whatever, 6'8" center, is also going to join him at SoCal Academy. Javante Taylor, who's the number 45 prospect in the 2023 class, announced that he's going to be playing with Mikey Williams at that school in San Diego. And then you've got Chuck Bailey, who's a 2023 four-star recruit, is going to be attending Hamtramck in Michigan. So happy for those brothers having landed somewhere, but it's worth mentioning the ripple effect. And so I wanted to make sure that we celebrated the fact that they are going to land. The principal from Donda Academy says that although they will not open their doors again this year, that they plan to open their doors in 2023. So let's hope for all the innocent people, because none of those big-time recruits made an anti-Semitic statement. None of them doubled down on drink champs and continued to open mouth and insert foot. None of them have done anything that would be in the way of a narcissistic, racist rant. None of them did that. Yet they're all impacted by it. So celebrate the fact that they have.
I feel bad. I totally disagree. I mean, you canceled a little too much, a little too far now. That didn't hurt Kanye. That hurt the kids. I mean, he donated money. They named the school after him. How many of these damn schools we have named after people that we found out are horrific people now, and they're looking to change the names, but you don't do anything to the kids.
We got parks and schools named after slave owners, man. Back to the conversation I had with my dear friend who happens to be Jewish, and it was a spirited conversation. Certain atrocities are treated differently, and I think that if we really going to celebrate humankind and the love of people, all human atrocities should be treated the same. Innocent people,
based on the atrocity, not based off the victim. Yep.
And that has been, and again, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole as
but
well.
But I mean, like for them to kick the Donda Academy out of stuff, it's not like Kanye profited. The kids go to school for free. He paid for the kids to go. So anyone associated that was too much for me. So shame on you, whoever made these kids relocate and do all these different things. That's shame on you.
I don't think they had a choice at some point, man. But it is what
shame on the adults that were involved in that.
Let's hop into the NFL, man. In the last topic of F Around and Find Out episode, the Houston Texans found out last night that they saw her. They was playing well. It was a great game to the third quarter. It was tied at halftime. They effed around and found out that, hey, they saw her, and the Eagles is like that. Fly, Eagles, fly, still undefeated. First time they've gone this far undefeated in franchise history. Are the Eagles for real, or are we going to mess around and see the real Eagles come out? And another example of effed around and found out with that same team. Jalen Hurts was benched at Alabama, had to transfer to Oklahoma.
And then almost won the Heisman, but go ahead.
Say again?
And then almost won the Heisman.
Then almost won the Heisman. Effed around and found out that this dude is a real baller. He continues to impress me, man. I know that it is Amazon Prime, and I know that the generation that you're in somehow, some way, just can't figure out how to watch them Thursday night games. You old, decrepit mole. But
don't find. Hey, we find people finding out these days. You want to find out?
Don't fight. Is that
what you're doing?
I ain't got no smoke for it. I don't want
to try to find out.
But you continue to miss these Thursday night games, and I see all these memes about our age. So I'm assuming you just ain't figured it out yet.
I'm making a political statement.
You make.
I have Amazon Prime. I just refuse. I don't like sports on the streaming services. I feel like they do a poor job of doing it. And I think it's rude to the people who have basic cable. I think basic cable is something that you can expect people to have. But I think professional sports should be on the networks and ESPN. And maybe if they want to have like a Big Ten network or SEC network, okay, fine. But they still don't put all the shows there. I think it's dumb to say you had to order Amazon Prime to watch a football game. So I don't watch it.
All right,
Unless
so
I'm out
that's
of
a
the
political
bar.
statement. Well, last night it ended up being a good game. The Texans did what no one thought they could do and made a game out of it. The Eagles pulled away late, but great game. And then we got to finish with the trade deadline. In this episode of Effed Around and Found Out, some people effed around and found out that they indeed are not in the protected class. That they could get that call, your ass got to be on the plane soon. They'd effed around and found out. I'll let you start with the Bears. I know that you've been emotional. I see someone in the comments talking about Chase Claypool. You really believe. You're like the last one. You are the band on the Titanic. You still playing this music like the Bears actually don't ever be what they was in 1985. So you can play your music.
Let's go on the record and say I do not believe the Bears will ever win a Super Bowl again unless they get new ownership. This ownership, they got lucked up because they had Buddy Ryan, and he made a great defense, and they won. Dicker wasn't nothing. Our offense wasn't nothing. At this point, Walter Payton was already old, but I digress. They got rid of Roquan Smith for a second and a fifth. They got rid of Roquan Smith, and they still – I try not to get emotional about people money. So, like, people are like, you gave up all – how do we give that money? It's not my money. But still, from a deal standpoint, they're paying Roquan Smith for the last 8 games of the season. So they got to pay him $4.8 million. The Ravens only had to pay him like $500,000. Again, I don't really care. None of that's coming out of my pocket. None of it was going to go into my pocket. So, but like you trade him for a second and a fifth. He's the leading tackler in the NFL right now. So one could say he's the best linebacker, or at least in the top cluster of linebackers in the NFL.
Facts.
For a second round pick. So you expect the second round pick to replace him? Oh no, we traded that away for Chase Claypool, which I love to have a Notre Dame receiver here in Chicago, and I think Claypool is a solid receiver, but it's not like he's a top 10 receiver, you know? So you ain't get Chase Claypool for Roquan Smith. Then we got some journeyman linebacker that they had an article that were trying to write 5 facts about this linebacker. None of them impressed me. That has 4 tackles on the season. So you bring that guy over here. And so basically you trade him for a 5th round pick and Chase Claypool. And I'm just saying I wouldn't make the pick, man. He wanted to be here. He cried when you got rid of the defensive end. So he felt like he was going to be here. You know what I mean? They're mad because the dude wanted his bread, whatever stuff. I don't know. The Bears suck. They suck.
On both sides of it, the players finding out that they are indeed expendable, and the teams finding out indeed that people that they thought because of all the research they did and all their analysis, they thought would be contributors, major contributors and stars of the team. They just ain't that. My man Cheeky Black, what's up? Shelton says Michael Thomas is stealing our money. By our, he means the Saints. But he ain't alone. Long-term deals put players into long-term situations that ultimately end with a little disappointment in a lot of situations because people F around and find out. They F around and find out. There were some good situations that occurred before the trading deadline, but like Brandon Cooks, right? He's due $18 million. So the Texans effed around and found out ain't nobody willing to pay that. It's just too much money. You got to pay a significant portion of that. You know, so I don't know if there's any other trade deadline stories. I mean, I that worth talking about, but I think just the idea of the trade deadline and how players come to discover that indeed they are expendable. NFL not for long. They're going to move you, right? I thought the Ravens defense got better. I don't like the fact that they got better because I'm a Browns fan, but they got better. I think Justin Fields having a Chase Claypool, he's still Justin Fields, but it's good to have Chase. That was personal. I'm sorry.
You know what? Justin Fields going to be all right. He's going to be all right.
Man, they'll get somebody to protect that boy. He's going to be, I don't want to say dead, proverbial dead. he's going to die from a quarterback standpoint. You got to have protection, man. The boys stay on the ground too much. He just does. Somehow, some way, Mike McDaniel figured it out, man, and they got Bradley Chubb down there. I think the Dolphins got better, and they were already looking good. So there were some things that happened before the deadline that I think showed that there's certain teams that are willing to go ahead and make moves. While we all celebrated San Francisco getting Christian McCaffrey, I meant Buffalo missed out on him. But you know they went and added another back that I think will help there. And so, you know, Buffalo, I think, got better. So it should be interesting, man. This is the part of the season where finally, you know, we're at that point where we're going to see decisions being made, trade deadline, but also how teams react to early success or the lack of success early. The Browns look really good on on Monday night against the Bengals, the Bungles, I should say. And you got to just stay afloat till Deshaun Watson gets back. So I think this is the type of time of the year where you're going to see the moves that the coaches make and the adjustments that they make in their lineups, how they're overcoming injury, or in our case, the Cleveland Browns, suspension. And then what they did in the trade deadline shows exactly what they want to be going down the stretch. So I start where I started at the beginning of our NFL discussion. The Cleveland Browns going to win the Super Bowl this year. And you heard it here. Not first, but second, because I said it before.
By 6? In 6? By 6?
Yes. Browns in 6. Any NFL other news you want to get to before we get out of here, man?
Nope.
Notre Dame hosts Clemson Tigers. They already beat them once in the regular season, but when they beat them, they didn't have sunshine. They had a backup. The backup that they had is now their starter. At that point, we both were saying with our chest, Clemson effed around and found out. This ain't your grandpa's Notre Dame. We in the building. We can play with the greats. Do you think Notre Dame has a chance?
I don't know which Notre Dame we have, man. I don't know what Notre Dame is what at the end of the day. I mean, we look great against Syracuse. I thought we looked competitive as hell against Ohio State. We lost to Marshall. We lost to Stanford.
I think we played to our competition, which bodes well for Clemson. We played to our competition. But we have not played well at home, right? So
I know, but we had like the longest winning streak at home for a while, and then we lost some games. Are we playing at home or is it away?
It's at home.
You know, we've played Clemson before. I hate playing people for the first time at home. For some reason, I feel like we have bad luck. But we know what we're getting. We're going to be ready for the game as ready as we can be. We're not going to overlook them. There's no excuses it's going to happen.
When you say as ready as we can be, meaning that Drew Pine is still going to be the quarterback.
Still going to be the quarterback. If we can establish how is Clemson been about stopping the run this year? I haven't watched any Clemson games.
Clemson has struggled. Clemson struggled on offense and defense, but they figure out how to win games, which is why they're still among the tops in college football. So, do we have a chance? Just at least
yes.
Yes. All right, cool. We got a chance. Thank you. Now, Alabama has to play LSU. Who you giving a nod to? Alabama, LSU. Alabama can't lose another one. The Tennessee loss, while a very good loss.
LSU.
You think they're going to
beat their ass? You don't never want to play Alabama when they just got beat.
First time ever, I think, in the history of college football, you have one conference with 5 teams in the top 10. That's crazy. The other top 10 matchup in the SEC is Tennessee versus Georgia. Who you got?
I'm gonna go Tennessee. I don't think they can stop their passing.
Shelton Jordan didn't like your Alabama gonna blow him out, so he wants points.
What's the spread?
I haven't looked at the spread yet. I would imagine it's pretty wide
look up the spread. Let me see what the
LSU
spread
hasn't looked great, and they haven't looked great.
Alabama gonna beat their ass by 14 points.
You think so? I'm trying to look it up now. Boo.
Beat that ass. You don't, man. You want to be that. You got to catch Alabama. Alabama slipped every other year they get an unexplainable. Although I think Tennessee good.
You think so? All right, hold on.
Oh, it's 15. What is that? Should I put that? It's 15 the points. Or that's what you're asking for?
I think that is the points. I would say that's the points. That sounds right to me. I'm looking for it, but that sounds right to me.
Beat the hell out of them boys.
Either way,
I'll give you.
Who you taking
points.
with Georgia and Tennessee?
I'm gonna take Tennessee.
You taking Tennessee? I got Georgia winning that one. I got Alabama beating LSU. I think it's gonna be a much better game. So you take that 15 if you want to. You're gonna be highly disappointed. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think the LSU Alabama matchup adds factors that you can't even predict are going to play a role when you're looking at their previous games. And LSU and Alabama, they're recruiting the same kids. They take it personal. They both are steeped in that SEC culture. Do I give Nick Saban the nod over Brian Kelly? Absolutely, I do, because he's whooped his ass. He whooped him in 2012 with the national championship. He whooped him in two of the semifinals. So I absolutely give Nick Saban the nod over Brian Kelly, but they ain't playing with a remarkably inferior group of dogs compared to Alabama. LSU got some dogs. LSU's got some dogs. I think it's going to be a good game, but I still give Alabama the nod. I'm going to say it's going to be like a 4-point game. I'll go 31-27 Alabama. I think Georgia is going to shock the world and put Tennessee back in check. Should be a great game. Looking forward to it. I don't know where game day is going. We did watch game day last week, and game day did what they should have been doing. They gave prime time the prime time slot. What an amazing game day. I don't miss game day on Saturday mornings, but man, what an amazing game day to see the fanfare, to see the band, to see the dancers. I don't remember what Jack State calls their dancers, but to see it all integrated into this platform that has celebrated predominantly white institute programs like the Notre Dames and Alabamas of the world, to see them there in Jackson, Mississippi, I thought was an amazing thing, man. And so shout out to Dion, who keeps on rolling. They beat Southern up pretty bad last week with game day on hand. So we'll see what happens in college football this week. But this has been for one last time so that everybody knows the origin of it. We want to make sure everyone's prepared as you go into your work week. As you go, it's Friday night, it's playoffs in most places. I know there's playoffs here in Jersey. All right. There are, basketball tournaments going on. Volleyball still going on. Right. What we got to acknowledge is the very simple math presented to us by our resident expert. For one last time before we get out of here, let's remember the coordinates here as you go into your week, go into your weekend, go into your sports battles. For one last time, the show was inspired by this simple math.
Today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. That there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.
I hope the lesson was helpful too. I hope the show was helpful. I see my man Cheeky Black. Cheeky Black gives us the advice that we really do need. And that advice, I want to make sure it's on the screen so everybody sees it. that advice is a 4-letter word, not the ones that y'all thinking about. It's a 4-letter word that we all need to be thinking about. Vote, right? Elections are next Tuesday. Make sure you get out and exercise your right to vote, because while we've made a joke about F around and find out, every time we stay home and don't vote, we essentially set ourselves up to F around and find out. I'm not going to get political on this show and talk about the examples of it, but I think certain examples come to mind right away. So make sure you do your part. Get out and vote next Tuesday. Make sure you do your part. Like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know to this particular episode. F'd around and found out of the Ball Hog Sports Talk. We love it. We love it. We absolutely love it, the support. So please like, comment, share. Help us get into other people's living rooms. And with that, it's simple and plain. Enjoy sports business entertainment this weekend, y'all. We'll see you next Friday for the next episode of Ball Hog Sports Talk. This has been the F'd Around and Found Out episode of the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mountain South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy, here with the resident Central Time Zone master of sports business entertainment, the Big Flow Show himself. With that, we is out. Peace.